Have you ever stopped to think about how the future actually gets built? Well, it doesn't just happen. Behind almost every single game-changing product, there's this massive, high-stakes engine called research and development, R&D. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this billion-dollar gamble that the world's biggest companies are making every single day. So you ready? Let's dive in.
This really is the big question, isn't it? I mean, why on earth would a company pour billions of dollars into projects that might totally flop, betting their entire future on one single unproven idea? Well, the answer is kind of simple, but also way more complex than you'd think.
And look, when we say billions, we are not kidding. $27.6 billion. That's what Alphabet, Google's parent company, spent on R&D in 2020, a single year. That's more than the entire economy of some countries, and they are not alone. So yeah, that's the kind of scale we're playing with here.
Okay, so that brings us to the absolute heart of the matter. Why does R&D matter so much? You know, in the business world today, if you're standing still, you're actually falling behind. Change is really the only thing that's constant, and R&D is how a company strategically fights to stay ahead of it.
This right here, innovate or become obsolete. It just perfectly nails the intense pressure companies are under. It doesn't matter if you make smartphones or cars or coffee. If you're not busy working on what's next, you can bet your competitors are. So R&D, it's not just some department tucked away in a corner. For a lot of these companies, it is literally their survival strategy.
All right, so let's get an official definition down. R&D is basically the systematic process companies use to tackle that innovate or die problem. It's all about looking at what we have today and figuring out how to make it way better, or maybe dreaming up something that's never existed before. And listen, this isn't just about lab coats and bubbling beakers, right? This is a core business strategy. It's about survival.
Okay, so we've covered the why. We get it, it's critical. But what about the how? What does this whole process actually look like? What are the key tools in an innovator's playbook?
I love this quote because it gets at something really profound. The main goal of R&D is to solve what we call unmet needs. But the real magic happens when R&D addresses needs we didn't even know we had. I mean, think about it. Before the first iPhone came out, were you walking around thinking, man, I really need a tiny supercomputer in my pocket that also makes calls and plays music? No way. That's the power of visionary R&D.
And this journey, from that first spark of an idea to a product you can actually buy, is, well, it's a long road. It might start with a eureka moment, sure, but then it has to survive concept testing, market research, building prototypes, maybe even a small-scale pilot program. Think of each step as a hurdle. And, spoiler alert, most ideas don't make it over all of them.
Right, so it's important to know that not all innovation is created equal. You can basically split R&D into two big buckets. On one side, you have incremental innovation, those small, steady improvements. And on the other, you've got disruptive innovation, the giant leaps forward that change everything. Let's break down these two big approaches.
In these two examples, they nail the difference perfectly. So on one side, you've got Gillette. They didn't invent the razor, but man, have they mastered incremental innovation. You know, add another blade, put on a fancy lubricating strip, small, steady improvements. And then on the other side, Baidu's driverless cars. Whoa. That isn't just a better car. That's an idea that could completely flip the script on transportation, logistics, even how we design our cities. So one is evolution, the other is straight-up revolution.
Okay, so picture this. You've gone through the whole R&D gauntlet. You spent millions. You've created something incredible. Now what? How do you protect that brilliant and expensive idea? Well, that's where this thing called intellectual property, or IP, comes into play.
And this is a huge question for every inventor, right? I mean, without protection, what's stopping a competitor from just sitting back, letting you do all the hard work, spend all the cash, and then, poof, they swoop in, copy your design, and sell it for cheaper? It would just kill the motivation to innovate for everyone. So the answer is intellectual property, IP. Think of it like an invisible force field. It's not a factory you can touch. It's an intangible thing, an idea, a brand, a process. IP rights are the legal tools that make it illegal for other people to copy your creation, giving you a bit of breathing room in the market.
And this protection comes in a few key flavors. You've got patents, which protect inventions and processes. Think about the crazy cyclone tech inside a Dyson vacuum. That's patented. Then there are copyrights. They protect original creative stuff, like the lines of code in an app. And finally, trademarks. They protect your brand. The Nike swoosh, the name Coca-Cola, all that good stuff. Basically, it's a wall of legal protection around your innovation.
And all of this brings us to our final act. Because here's the thing about R&D. It is never, ever a sure thing. It's the ultimate business gamble. A high-wire act with massive risks on one side and absolutely unimaginable rewards on the other.
So let's talk about the risks. And they are real. First off, it's crazy expensive. And every dollar you spend on a moonshot idea is a dollar you can't spend on marketing. That's opportunity cost. Second, just because you invent something amazing doesn't mean anyone's going to buy it. And third, even if you hit a home run, your competitor might be right on your heels with something even better, making your shiny new thing obsolete almost instantly.
And to make this crystal clear, I have 2 words for you. Razor phone. No, not the super cool Motorola Razor. I'm talking about a literal phone with an actual electric shaver built in. I'm not making this up. A company actually spent the R&D money on this. It's the perfect and frankly hilarious example of R&D just going completely off the rails.
But when it works, oh man, when it works, the payoff is just astronomical. It gives you a massive competitive edge, like Dyson did with vacuums. It lets you charge premium prices. Hello, Apple. It can generate huge publicity and build an incredibly loyal customer base. This is how giants are born.
Just take a look at these numbers from 2020. This tells you exactly who's playing this game at the highest level. Amazon, Alphabet, Huawei, Apple, Samsung, Microsoft. I mean, come on, these aren't just companies anymore. They're full-blown innovation factories, betting tens of billions of dollars a year that they can literally invent what's next.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. Let's boil it all down. What are the big things you really need to remember from all this?
First up, R&D is all about solving customer problems, sometimes problems they don't even know they have yet, to get ahead of the competition. Second, innovation isn't one size fits all. You've got those small, steady improvements, that's incremental, and then you have the huge, game-changing leaps, that's disruptive. Third, if you invent something amazing, you have got to protect it. That's what intellectual property is all for. And finally, never forget that R&D is a massive gamble. The risks are huge, but the rewards, they can change the world. So, that leaves us with one final question to think about. The pace of all this is just getting faster and faster. So take a look around your own life. What's that little thing that annoys you every day? What's that big problem that needs a solution? What's the next unmet need that some R&D lab out there is spending billions to solve for you?